getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert.
Gilligan's Island was such a classic slapstick comedy. They just don't make them like that anymore. That storm was incredibly powerful. It sort of reminds me of. No, that's not it. It sort of reminds me of The Tempest from Shakespeare's The Tempest. At least I thought there was a storm mentioned in the schmoop of that play. Huh. Well, I guess I have to start over from scratch. Close you out. And don't save. Hello and welcome. I'm Ryan Coral from Nutroll News.
An unpaid special by Nutroll News. Get your salted nut roll today. Crunchy, salty, sweet, and chewy.
This evening we have a historical special, and the feature of this special is a truly self-made man. He shared the town to grow up in with another self-made, young, and ambitious entrepreneur. That man was Gordon Ramsay. Our shared locale of our two greats was Stratford upon Avon. Now, before I continue, I guess we should actually introduce our topic for discussion this evening, and that is the great William Shakespeare. While Mr. Ramsay crafted an empire based on foodie flair, William crafted an empire of successful stage shows. His prominent troops include the King's Men as well as Lord Chamberlain's men. The Bard is credited with creating 38 different plays. An interesting fact is that today's theatrical selection actually happens to be the last play that Shakespeare composed entirely by himself. Now, to be fair, we must first admit that there is actually some controversy regarding that claim, and that controversy is that The Winter's Tale was actually Shakespeare's last solo composition. The main reason that I don't believe that The Winter's Tale was Shakespeare's last solo composition can be merely stemmed to the fact that winter is traditionally regarded as the end or death, and that just seems so incredibly cliche. And to be completely honest, Will is not a cliche person. He's a revolutionary person that we've seen in numerous works. And I think we'll find that in The Tempest, his closing of the play in itself is perhaps a better send-off of his solo composition career than a thematic winter theme would ever be. It is thought that the tale of the Sea Venture, an English vessel, actually inspired him to create The Tempest. The ship set sail from England on its way to Virginia. However, on its journey, it encountered a storm or a tempest, and this threw it off course, causing it to become stranded on the island of Bermuda. Yeah, sailing from England to the Americas always turns out so swell. The first recorded performance of The Tempest was on November 1st, 1611, by the King's Men in Whitehall Palace. While it does appear on a register on the same date, The Tempest was not actually published officially until much later, that being the year 1623, as part of the first folio. The scene to be performed is the final scene from The Tempest, that being Act 5, Scene 1. It has Alonso and Prospero coming to good terms, the freedom of Ariel, and Prospero's final goodbye to the island. The part of The Tempest that will be seen features only King Alonso of Naples and Prospero, the former Duke of Milan. Other characters for a full background of the play consist of Miranda, Prospero's daughter, Ariel, the spirit of the island, Caliban, Miranda Prospero's slave and slightly adopted son and slash brother, Ferdinand, the son of Alonso, and Antonio, Prospero's brother. The play begins with a tempest conjured by Prospero, because he is aware that his brother, who usurped him, along with the King of Naples, is currently sailing. The group then becomes shipwrecked on Prospero's island. Prospero then splits them into 3 groups: Ferdinand, the king's crew, and the drunks. Ferdinand meets Miranda. They fall in love and then they plan to marry. The king's crew has a journey that features the king's brother Sebastian and Antonio trying and plotting to kill the king to gain power, however they end up failing. The true drunks find Caliban and together they plot to throw a rebellion against Prospero. However, mixing alcohol with the undereducated does not help their cause in the least. Throughout the entire play, all 3 groups are working their way toward Prospero via Prospero's intervention. Prospero then decides to forgive all.
Sir, I invite your highness and your train to my poor cell, where you shall take your rest for this one night, which part of it I'll waste. Such discourse as I not doubt shall make it. Go quick away the story of my life, and the particular accidents gone by. And in the morn I'll bring you to your ship, and so to Naples, where I have hoped to see the nuptial of these our dear beloved solemnized. Retire me to my Milan, where every third thought shall be my grave. I long to hear the story of your life, which must take the ear strangely. I'll deliver all, and promise you calm seas, auspicious gales, and sails so expeditious that you shall catch your royal fleet far off. My Ariel, cheek, I charge, and then to the elements. Be free and fare thou well. Please, you draw near. My charms are all overthrown, and what strength I have's my own. 'Tis most faint, now 'tis true. I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples, let me not. Since I have my dukedom got, and pardon the deceiver well, in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands, with the help of your good hands, gentle breath of yours. My sails must fill, or else my project fails. To please, now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults itself and frees all faults, as you from crimes would pardon me. At your indulgence, set me free.
Following the closing lines by Prospero, the play ends. The ending has a profound influence on the play. Some may look to the relationship between Ferdinand and Miranda as being the most important element. But it can be argued that Prospero's forgiveness and relinquishment of his power is perhaps an even greater element in the play. Toward the end of the play, Prospero has the full capacity to seek revenge. However, instead he chooses to invoke a different type of power, the power to be the better person. We now have the opportunity to hear from Professor Stanley Wells from the University of Birmingham. Wells explains that Shakespeare was an experimenter to the end of his career. He synthesized the spared elements in a manner that allows each to exert its energy. He combined comic and tragic styles, like in The Winter's Tale. But this was a sharp contrast to Shakespeare's earlier works. Both plays entail suffering, but they both end up happy. However, the situation does not end up like a typical comedy where everything goes back to the way it originally was. The play does not go to the lengths that King Lear does to show a fatal flaw, nor does it follow the complete comedic elements of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It rather combines critical elements of both. My take on The Tempest is that it is a highly original piece of work. I liked how it combined different elements from both comedies and tragedies because it's more reflective of actual life. I enjoyed this play more than I enjoyed Romeo and Juliet or Macbeth. In both of those plays, we deal with incompetent characters. Sometimes it involves stabbing oneself when a girl did not get her way. Other times we have a gent go on a killing rampage even though he was already destined to become king. Prospero is intelligent, a refreshing change from the leads in other plays. I also like the real nature of the play. It stays fairly unpredictable, and because of that, it stays true to how life actually is. Thank you for watching this week's edition of Nut Roll News. I'm Ryan Coral, signing off.